So much for joining us today, dude. Owner of Hook Agency, digital marketing agency specific for the home service industries. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You got so many things going on,
Yeah.
a couple podcasts,
Yeah.
running a $4 million marketing firm. Thank you so much for coming out here.
I'm so grateful that you're having me on. I like what you're doing.
I've been really, really excited for this one. So let's dive into it. So just for those listeners who don't know who you are, could you kind of give everyone a high-level overview?
Yeah. Like you said, $4 million marketing agency. I always like say numbers up front because it's hard to hear somebody if you don't know that they're doing something, right? And hey, if you're at 10, you don't have to listen to this one because I don't know if I've got something for you yet. But we've been helping home service businesses, which I'm really excited about. You have a friend, Josh Swisher, which we've been part of that since he was under 1 million, and I hope he would say a big part of how he's gotten to over 10, which he has to me before. I don't know if he'd say it publicly.
No, he does say it out loud. I've heard him say it.
But basically, to me, he is why we exist, and people like him, and he is a big piece of really why we exist, because he kind of instigated us in. He was so cool, he was so freaking nice to us, and it was inspiring. And we were doing video with him and out on roofs and in attics with him. And I was sitting up there learning about all this stuff.
That's crazy to me that you're doing that.
I love that because then we were showing up, being part of it with him. And then other roofers kind of wanted that too. Like a marketing agency.
So tell me why you did that.
Yeah.
That's my marketing agency doesn't do that.
Yeah.
I haven't heard another one that really does.
Yeah. So if basically to me, your ideal customer, from the very beginning, I would go out and experience what the thing was at least. Like, for instance, my first client ever was a kettlebell gym, and I went and took the workout because I needed to know why it was really different. You know what I mean? And since then, I just shining a light on your best ideal customers and really talking about why they're awesome and being there with them it's very attractive to other ideal customers. So
you're documenting that process also, and then using it for
our own marketing as well,
right? Which is freaking genius, honestly.
Yeah, and
you're the Gary V of the Midwest almost.
Hey, it's you. We all can be a little bit right to our ideal customer and we have, now we have a new HVAC podcast, and we have a client in this area or over here, Thielen Mechanical. I don't know if you're friends with them.
I think I've heard of
but basically, we are going to do the same thing as we're entering the new market of HVAC and plumbing a little bit more hardcore. Is we're going to be doing videos with them fairly often, and then kind of sharing that process because I also self pat on the back before we get into the content, just so people can listen. And we'll wrap that up because I don't like doing that. But we pushed into memeing as part of our marketing strategy. And I'm kind of a roofing niche meme lord.
You kill it, dude.
Yeah.
You take my attention and I'm not a roofer. I'm in pest control, and the memes you put out there and just the sheer volume and diversity of content. It's very impressive.
It's a stupid amount of getting ourselves out there. But we did these memes, and we could do funny memes to roofers and home service businesses because, in particular, roofers, because we really knew the pain that they had. And I think that that's a really important, besides zooming in and shining a bright spotlight on your ideal customers, knowing the pains really well. And obviously, as a person doing the work, and obviously you've done a lot of real pest control, and what your ideal customers' real problems are and that pain that they experience. And so I just dug in on that to understand. I was on the back end.
So truly understanding who.
Hanging out with them enough to really understand this is the pain that I'm experiencing. And I think it's easier to do in home services, but as a business B2B service provider, sometimes they don't do that. It's hard to do that.
Develop that superhuman connection and deep understanding of whatever they do for work. Because as a marketer, unless you niche down you have, your job is to go and kind of have the similarities of all businesses out there and just understand how to build a marketing strategy to get to their customer, right?
But I like push the idea of niching to agencies too. Like you should.
Tell us why marketing
is. Yeah, niching is sweet. And specialization as a home service business. Like I believe in specialization as much as you possibly can. At the very beginning, I built this up just to give a bit of a backstory, like dentists, wealth management, all these different types of companies. And I did do that a little bit too. I went to their company, like a wealth management company, Lacrosse, like go like look at the backside and be like, what's really different about this stuff? Like, what are you guys really doing different than these other guys? And they're like, well, we have a home, we literally take out the customer. Like we have the clients, like we have a dinner with them every year, like all these different things. I'm like, what? And I'm like, show me the office. Where does this guy work? Where does your quant work? Like your numbers guy. And like, what is he doing? Like, I want to know. I want to be really curious.
Well, I was just going to say that's an extreme level of curiosity that I would think creates a lot of opportunities for you as a business owner.
Sure. It has, I think. I think curiosity
has always been that way, or was there something that...
It's probably, because we talked a little bit before we started. I used to be in music. And so I played music. I kind of had not a failed rock band, but
You're not doing it anymore.
Yeah, a band down in Texas, and half the band isn't alive anymore. So in that way, we failed.
What was the name of the band?
Amused.
Amused?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had some chemical issues. We all had some chemical issues. 2 of us are alive. 2 of us are not. And so the extreme motivation I had for my own personal preservation to upgrade my life in the form of recovery is part of what led to that curiosity, I think, because I had a lot of...
Appreciate you going there with me, man.
That's absolutely. I'll give all the petty details.
You like to go deep?
Yeah.
All right. I only know how to go deep.
So. Yeah, I prefer that. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I'm just happy to be alive today. And partly because in my, all that was drinking and weed, but also like bordering on like all the psychedelics and stuff like that. And my friends in the band were very, we don't have to go crazy into that part, but the point being is I was trying to stay alive.
Well, that's still a different level of curiosity, even in that area, right? Yeah. You just got to some realization where maybe you didn't want to continue down that path.
Respectfully, like I do think my artistic side of my brain is definitely a massive advantage here over now in the business world, right? Like the ability to want to understand the nature of things and to such a level that I can apply that to business things. I do think that if the energy that I was applying over there on the music side is still alive and well, it is 100% in my creativity and marketing and trying to
use that part of your brain. It's just not music, it's marketing.
And I still play a little music every once in a while. I'm not saying that's dead completely, but I use a lot of it now in other ways. Okay.
Very cool.
And the niching side, just to kind of like wrap or at least put a little bit of more information on that, is like specialization in niching allows you to reuse some components of what you just did. If you're, let's say, as
copy and paste,
as a pest control company, if you had worked in 1965 to 1975 homes in North Oaks, let's say, because that's where I live and where we need a lot of pest control, then you have a lot of inklings about where the problem might lie much quicker than somebody who had not worked on those homes.
Correct.
And that's the same principle that I'm applying in home services and marketing. Is just I get to reuse those instincts. Now, we don't do copy and paste, like literally none. Our company is 100% custom everything, but our inclinations and our instincts are 100% reusable on each client that we get because we do.
Do you teach that to your team then?
Yes, absolutely.
How do you go about doing that?
But they're naturally going to do. Imagine if you only worked on those 1965 to 1975-year-old homes in North Oaks. Like everyone would get really good at those same problems that they're digging up. So yes, I teach them, and yes, we have education, and we like. Really, my long-term goal is to be an education company for our people, to be to the point where we've got like internal badge systems. And like, I want them to be able to put this on their resume that we're Hooks certified in this, and this. I wanted to, that's my ideal scenario because I believe that because that's what I would want as an employee. I would want like a certification track and I'd want to be able to, it to be useful. Now it's crazy to think like, oh, you're going to put that on your resume?
Big picture stuff.
But we're trying to make it, like I take inspiration from Josh is like, he talks about, I want to be like the employer of choice. You know what I mean? And like, we all kind of want that. We want that, right? We want it to be a naturally, like the people that work at my company, they want to promote working at my company. That's the ideal scenario. So that's what we're working towards on that. But I do think they naturally get the specialization by continually working on the same kinds of customers. And we do have internal training systems. Now, I'm not personally training them usually.
Well, but I mean, they're just around it, right? You work with roofers, HVAC. What are the other industries you currently
roofing,
with?
HVAC, plumbing are our biggest ones. And we have a lot of miscellaneous home services. So like just, fencing and, what is it? Piers, thinking about foundation repair,
so
things like
but
that.
Similar, are they always targeting a residential consumer?
Yes. So all about the home.
So that's like so you're niching on an industry or a series of industries that has a niche for their customer. And
it's really kind of around like the same problems. I do kind of, somebody put it the other day, like, oh shit industries. Like I do kind of like, oh shit industries. Like I like a leak. You know what I mean?
Like some shit just happens.
Yeah, exactly. I was saying, like, it's a good industries because the pain drives like purchase, right?
Pain and like urgency.
Yes, and like I was even talking to you might know him. I think his name it's Endless Possibilities.
Yep.
What is that gentleman's? Alosha. Cool guy. I was talking to him about the pains that he helped solve, and I was trying to help him understand like what is the real pain though? Like, can we dig it up? Like, it's. Your garage floor is ugly.
Yeah.
Your garage floor
you get a puddle over there in the corner.
Yes. It's unusable, like in its unusable space when it's a dirty garage door and you don't want to put any like storage in there. It's also potentially like I was trying to how dangerous can we make it?
Okay.
Is it dangerous? I'm just asking. You know what I mean? I'm trying to understand where's the real pain that's like pushing somebody. Like if they're tripping over like holes in the cement, like the better we can understand the pain that you actually solve, the better you can market that company.
Yeah, because then you're talking about things that a customer actually cares about rather than the service yourself. Yeah, because most people, like I get it, the garage floor is going to be so much more beautiful, and I agree that the before and afters are so big of a deal, and he's doing a great job on that. It's also like that pain though. Like for some reason, I don't know why it is with our brains, they're so much more persuaded by avoiding pain than they are like even seeking pleasure. And I don't even understand why that is, but it's just like, to me, that's such like an important, like I'm fascinated by that because I think that's like a survival instinct almost. Like when there's pain present, that means like there's potential for harm, right?
Yeah.
And for survival, and
we have to be classy about it too, because like if you just hit them over the head with the pain, like in marketing, they will get sick of your brand. We all know a company like that.
They'll be like, okay, I'm over this. Like, it's not that bad.
Yeah, and I think I was just talking about this yesterday. Like, my wife was sharing a story. Bia. She was sharing a story with me. I was gone down in Texas for a little bit, and she had gotten a letter from the IRS, and it was like a certified mail, and she was like, why is this certified mail? It was like open immediately, all this stuff. And she had to go somewhere to get it, but she knew it was certified mail or something like that. And she let me like linger on this anxiety, and our brains produce a certain chemical. What is this? And then she said, okay. And then it was like this bill for like $250 or something. And we're like, why did they do this? Like the government, like why did they give us certified? Like
they gotta verify some shit. They're obviously not thinking about you. They just want to make sure you got it.
Yeah. Yes. And we're talking about the chemicals that the brain produces.
Dopamine.
Oh God, I love cortisol, and you can't let somebody sit in the cortisol too. I told her this. I probably said it in a rude way, but like, don't let somebody sit in the cortisol for too long. Otherwise, they will associate that cortisol with your company. So in marketing, you want to hit them with a little bit of that pain, but you need to wrap it up. Like it should turn into heartwarming quick.
Yeah.
That's
more
effective.
like, it's almost like that thing's there, but it's not really there because you got us.
But how good would it feel? Help them imagine.
The emotional component rather than the logical component, because that's what actually sticks with people.
Yeah. So if you can hit them with the pain, but very quickly help them imagine a brighter, better future.
So how do you do that for your customers in roofing?
Well, we talk about so we do this thing called story brand, essentially.
Yep.
So we're big fans of story brand. We call it the homeowner story. We talk about the pain that the customer feels that instigates that conversation with the company.
Yep.
And we personify it as a villain. And so, for roofing, plumbing, and HVAC, really the evil leak is a good, villain, right? Like, or, whatever it happens to be. You got to have the villain, but like we said, we don't sit on that forever. That's just,
it exists, but it's not the focus of
the main character is the homeowner. And that's a big difference for people in their small business marketing. It's like, if you make your company the hero, you can end up competing in the person's brain who's looking at your website. So go to your website now. Is it more making your customer the hero or your company the hero? And I would say 90% of home service businesses, and I don't know, like maybe small businesses in general, make their company the hero. But if we led with pain, like you're experiencing this right now, but how good would it feel to have that resolved? Like if you led with the villain, but quickly switched it in. So in story brand, you got the villain, you got the hero, which is the homeowner for home service businesses, and the guide, the who's the little green guy, Obi-Wan Kenobi's
Yoda.
You're the Yoda for this Obi-Wan Kenobi, or the.
I always think about it like Lord of the Rings storyline. So like the Gandalf, because that's our brand too. Like the
Gandalf is the guide too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. Any one of those things where you see like that guy's just the guide, right? And the homeowner is this protagonist that needs guidance.
They're the person with power, though.
Yeah. And they're going to transform their home into, for you guys, a fortress probably for keeping the wildlife out, right? And for a roofer, a safe envelope for their home that they can be confident will not leak. And this ideal future, and then there's this negative future. And the negative future, I often think of it as like if they go with a cheap service provider, because we're usually not the cheapest, to be honest. If you can afford Hook's services, you're probably not the cheapest home service business, right? So, but you've got these low quality providers that barely fix the problem half the time, or they fix it for like a year and then it's just destroyed the next year, or whatever it happens to be. They don't fix it. They don't fix it at all.
Know what the real problem is.
Exactly, because for some reason, or this terrible customer service. Sometimes they could be good at fixing the problem. I'd say that's less likely, but sometimes they're terrible at customer service.
Or their billing sucks, or the guy smokes cigarettes all over their front porch, or whatever the hell it is. Like all those different things.
It matters. All of that really matters, and that's
because right now you're talking customer experience, right? You're like at the beginning of that. You're helping people that, if they're coming to you, they're trying to grow their company, right? You're not getting people where you're like, I'm trying to check this marketing box. You have people that are very focused on that growth, and I freaking love that.
Yeah.
So, tell me, what some of the mistakes people make when they're thinking about marketing and maybe making a change to a new marketing company.
Good question. I do think specialization is good. I do think if they're niched into something like what you're doing or exactly what you're doing, that can be very good. I think looking at reviews, looking at case studies, and if they're super new, and I get that, like the sub $1 million business, if you have to go with the college kid or whatever's going on, have them out. Hey, they don't have to have this instinct for, hey, I'm going to go look at everything that they're doing to fully understand it. You could invite them to do that. You could say, hey, come on a ride along like you were going to be a rep for us, and then look at this actual what we do, and this is exactly why we're different. and that person could be a great resource for you. Like, because I was early in at one point and I didn't know.
Yes.
But I like specialization. I like case studies and reviews for customers like you. That to me is like the best possible thing.
I mean, I can speak from my end. I think that's a fantastic point. So the marketing company we work with, Northwing Digital, I think you may have worked with Kyle at one point, actually. We were the first pest company they worked with, and then they niched down a little bit. They have a percentage of their customers are just pest control. And for me, like, I had to go through this education process of helping this person understand the industry.
Yeah.
That they might understand the consumer, but they don't understand what the heck somebody's doing. And now that he's got that, like, that niche is really easy for him to go and like get a new customer when he needs one. Yeah. Pretty much. Because now you're not just chucking a grenade out there and hoping it hits something. Yeah. Like, you're looking at a targeted audience.
Exactly. And everyone in the company now, in his company, can speak to those problems because they've seen them before and can
they understand it. Yeah. And the confidence behind that, I'm sure your team has that because they understand what happens to who they're trying to create messaging for, right?
Exactly. My team was much less confident when we were a marketing agency for everybody. It was scary. Each new client we took on required education around that particular type of business.
Just so much time there too. Right?
It's time for the business owner who has to explain it to them or whoever's on marketing on their team. And it's time for the agency. So if you can find where all that time's gone and you can just focus on this is what makes us different in our market.
And then you focus on delivering for the customer. Yeah. Like, then you have more time to put into things that matter instead of communicating with the marketing team. So
exactly, because that gets really boring.
Well, I mean, it's just like when I'm thinking back to when I first engaged my marketing company. I didn't go with Northwing right away. I went with somebody else because I was just trying to check a box. Like, I needed marketing. Like, small businesses trying to grow under, let's say, $500,000. Yeah. Like, sometimes they're in networking, like I was to start, and that created some type of lead flow. Yeah. But there's no consistency. There's no real predictability. So when I went to find a marketing company, I didn't even know what to ask, let alone think. Like, we never actually answered the full last question.
I'll give a few more things too. Like, I do think, like, hey, what specifically are you going to be doing for me each month is a good question. What does our accountability system look like? Like, are we going to be chatting once a month? And how much can we change stuff as it goes on? Like, I understand most marketing companies have a plan, but what do they say? Everyone has a plan until you get hit in the mouth, or you add an additional service or chop one or whatever's going on. So if in 3 months, if I need to pivot a little bit, that would be another thing, just as like a small business coaching suggestion would just be like, don't pivot too much. Like, ideally, when you have more people in your team and on an agency level and vendors, like, the more you benefit from going in one direction for a long
instead
period.
Of all the shiny things.
Yeah, because a lot of people will be like, I'm adding this now, I'm adding that. And I understand we do that sometimes, but that should be pretty few and far between, ideally, with a marketing team, because, like, they do set up plans for 6 months and 12 months. And it's ideal if they do that, because then they don't have to, like, brainstorm with you every month about every new thing.
There's so many things with marketing. Is that, so you said niching down. What specifically are they going to do?
What specific, their reporting rhythm, the reviews and case studies, and do I own my website? Would be a big question. I think you should own your website because you should be able to you're building up this big tank that you can, hunt with or whatever, right? Like, you want to own it. You want to be able to honestly be able to control it. So I think you should be able to sign into your website and swap out a team member or swap out, like, some copy.
So you can drive.
Yeah, you want to be able to drive. Now, most small business owners don't. And I'm okay with that if you have a really good partner, but it becomes painful when you don't. And I think you should also be able to, I want you to own your marketing. So this is just an example of owning your marketing. Own your website, get your logins, be able to change out text and images at least. It doesn't have to be like, I'm going to add this whole new section. But to be able to change out basic things is really useful. I think it's good. The reason I want you to own it is so that you can take it somewhere else. There are a bunch of marketing agencies out there, and I don't care about them. And I'm not trying to talk badly about them. But that own your website, and then if you leave, they could take it down, or you could significantly hurt yourself just by leaving that company.
They're not going to help you leave their company. Type of thing.
But you should have the ability. Like, I think you should own your hosting, or at least be able to host your website. But owning your marketing is the big thing. I think you should own all the content on your website. You should own your Google Analytics. You should own your Google Ads account even. That is a hot take. I'll end with a hot take. I think you should own that stuff, because
that's bringing extreme value to people, because I'm sure there's some people listening that don't even know what some of those things are, and that's okay, right? But marketing is more than just Google, right? There's components to Google. There's social media. There's all these.
But you wouldn't want somebody to own your Facebook page, right? Like for your small business.
It's a great
so
analogy.
Those are the types of things. Like you want to own all that, because then you can take it with wherever you go. You don't want to be locked into something.
You're putting effort and energy into this thing that should be valuable, right? Like more than just another lead. Like, so when the alternative I'm thinking is like Angie's List or a Home Advisor, where they're paying for leads that somebody else is generating with their content.
Exactly. And I think that those are less valuable than some people think, because you are competing with 3 to 5 people on that lead a lot of times. Like I know that they may have some exclusive things, but when I looked at it, it's like, we're selling leads, but we're selling it to like 5 people. And you don't know how or what people did to get to become a lead. They may have put in like a calculator. They may have said like downloaded like something that was like a checklist for
what
looking
happened
for my
before
own
my
control.
phone rang or I got that text message.
Because the intent might be very low to purchase. And we want to push that into, I would say, a step up from Angie Leads and all these lead aggregators, because that's not marketing, guys. That's buying leads. That's different. Totally different. And it's shared leads. Next up would be a Facebook ad. I like Facebook ads to a certain degree, because at least they hopefully had some intent, but their original intent of going on Facebook was not to buy your services, unless it was a Facebook group, in which, yes, get on all the Facebook groups, mommy bloggers, everything, because home services businesses can win hard by being referred out in those groups. But the intent when you go on Facebook is not to purchase. And then I do think Google and anything related to Google, local service ads, Google guaranteed, all that stuff, anything with Google is the highest intent, because they're going and searching at that moment. So that's like my scale of like quality leads.
And how does YouTube fall into that? Because that is another search engine.
I mean,
that was a question I had for home services. Like, how does that?
It's kind of like blogging, right? Like, we get our awareness up, and it's good for our brand, and it's really good for like if you do like how to prepare your house for winter. You know what I mean? Stuff that's like a little bit more like Midwestern or like. But YouTube isn't a brand. I think of it as a brand and awareness play. If you're talking about the commercials and like in my area doing pre-roll ads, I love that. I love anything with remarketing or super like geo-targeted.
We crush those.
That's beautiful.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. And you can also do by subject matter. So if they're watching anything related to
for a home service industry, like how would a company be successful on YouTube? Using that for marketing to their actual end user, not just somebody in Texas.
I'm not an expert on that, but it does appear that it would be like the zip code targeting thing, and then any subject. So if they're ever on a subject in your area about that topic, those would be the 2 things. But you could just pre-roll the whole area for anything to do with home services, or I don't think they allow you to do like income targeting anymore. I wish that I miss the good old days of advertising where you could just be like, this person makes 100,000 or more. Please.
They're in.
But basically subject targeting, because you can, if they're watching videos about this, or zip code targeting, which I would do both. We do it on ours, but it's like for hooks marketing, but I'm targeting certain channels. So like I'm targeting roofing channels, for instance. And other home services.
You crush it on social media, honestly.
Thank you.
Just like I said, sheer volume, but the quality is also up there. Was it like that when you first started, like on marketing yourself that way?
I've always been trying to do like arbitrage. So what that look arbitrage to me in marketing is like something where that you're getting an outsized result for the amount of effort that you're applying. So I'm looking for arbitrages. So back in the day, and I'll just give an example of an old one, and I'll give an example of a very new one. Old one, I used to follow a lot of people on Twitter, and they would follow back. And it worked really, really well, weirdly, and I got customers from it. Artful Living was a customer in Minneapolis, and then I've got customers around the country that I got from Twitter, weirdly. And that was odd because people weren't doing a lot of business generation on Twitter. This is back in like 2015.
Okay.
And then now an example, like I would do follow for follow back. That was the strategy. It was a little bit of an arbitrage. It was kind of sneaky, whatever. Nowadays, like one that any small business owner could do right now is the little bubble that comes up on chat on Facebook. You do the little plus right next to your photo in Messenger. You can press that plus and you can say free pest control inspections to this week, or
fascinating.
Like, and that just, you're the first person on everybody's chat. And so I'm not just saying it, doing it once. I'm saying every single day I wake up and do one of those. If you don't see that, you probably see me at the front of your chat.
Hold the phone. Yeah. Walk me through this again.
So this will be dated fairly shortly because we're always looking for new arbitrages. But this is a fun one because it works. And when I was just using the bathroom right before the podcast, and somebody said, I used to think this was stupid, but now I see your face every day, and now I am stupid too. Because my face is at the front of their queue on Messenger every single day with a little chat bubble for whatever I want it to be, because it's basically just Facebook Messenger like prompt. You're kind of like saying, hey, talk to me about this. That's what it was originally for.
Hit the little chat.
Yeah. It might be only on your phone. There's some features now that are going to be only on phones.
We can get into that later.
Yeah. I'll show the camera for the people that are watching. So there's these little chat bubbles at the very beginning. Is this visible?
Yeah, you're good.
Yep.
So you can see there's chat bubbles, and then I'm up at the front, and mine says, what do you want to feel? And I'm just doing a prompt. And I'm trying to be useful to people. Usually right now what I'm doing is just like more like kind of motivational. Like I'm trying to help people think better. Like
I was actually looking through your social media before this, and you bring like this extreme amount of value to the consumer. Like it's not buy my shit. It's this could be helpful. This could be helpful. This could be helpful. And it's in different channels too. Like as a digital marketing agency, I think it's like contrarian in my head to help roofing companies market not digitally.
Yeah.
Like, and talking about that even in like a positive light. Like I saw some of the things where like door knocking.
Yeah.
I saw some of your content on that. You're just bringing value to your end users so that you really capture their attention.
Yeah,
right?
I think two of the principles are, one, I'm marketing for referrals. I want somebody to like me so much that they'll refer me. Ideally, right? That's the ideal scenario.
That's an interesting concept.
So then you see all these marketing agencies that are trying to get a lead.
Instead of just a referral.
Which is like a breathy, right? Like commission breath. And that's not attractive to your customer either.
Yeah.
So you might get a lead, but if I'm trying to get to my referral partners and get them excited about our company, it's harder, but it's also, I think, more effective. So I think that's the main principle. I'm trying to remember my second one that I was going to say. I don't remember. But basically, marketing for referrals is probably my biggest principle on social.
It's a great concept.
Definitely the Gary Vee jab, 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 right hook.
I was going to say that.
Which is,
I feel like I've referenced him like in all of the podcasts we've done so
useful
far.
Useful content, a little bit of pitch. Like that's what he's saying with right hook, right? Like, or a really good pitch.
Because like you can't exist and do what you're doing unless you're generating revenue somehow, right? So as a business owner, it's kind of your obligation to put it in there at some point.
Yeah, and if you don't, you're kind of missing. Like people want to buy from you when you're useful to them. They want to buy from you.
Okay.
Like somebody asked me the other day, they're like, "What can I buy from you?" Like just because I was useful to them, and I've probably have been uncomfortable amount.
From you? Like they feel like they owe you almost.
Yeah. And I don't have something for it. I said, hey, I don't have something for you, but I'd love to give you a free ticket to this event
Still bringing value.
I am gonna. Yeah, I've got a VIP table at this fight for roofers It's too.
So where does that come from?
This
that,
is crazy.
Like, leading with so much value.
It's totally Gary Vee. Yeah,
I kind of figured. I honestly love the content that he puts out, and just he's always on that front part of it. But we're not going to talk about Gary Vee for this whole.
But you do have to ask occasionally, right? Like, and it is figuring out what the good ask. The other thing I see with if you do provide a lot of value, when you do ask, sometimes a lot of people will share it. Like once you do a really good ask, especially if it's like a time sensitive offer, your advocates will share it for you. Like, so that's one thing. If you do, like, why you should do the right hook every once in a while.
That's what you're talking about, marketing referrals.
Yeah, like, and a lot of it is referral partners. A lot of they're like, hey, if you haven't checked out Hook, like, and they share it. People do want to share it. And if there's anything that I'd want them to do, like that person that wants, like, what can I give you money for? Like, share this offer when it's time. Like my right hook, I've got 1-2 a month at most. Share it.
Yeah, get behind it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So I've had a lot of conversations with small business owners around marketing. Like I run a pest control company, but I'm not doing pest control. I'm trying to generate leads and essentially thinking about marketing and the vision of the company. So I've come a long way from where I had to juggle taking care of Mrs. Johnson and communicating with my marketing company, because we've made it past that point. But for anyone who maybe doesn't even have a website or needs to upgrade their website, like, what do you recommend people ask themselves, like, at that point when they're thinking about a transition? They almost think they need to do this, but they don't actually know what they're trying to accomplish. They just know it's part of the puzzle. Yeah,
I feel like a lot of websites redesigns it's because the small business owner wants to do something, but they don't know what to do. They don't understand other types of marketing enough to know, maybe I could double down with this current website on this. I think you should ask yourself, like, how am I really going to get people to this website? A website is almost nothing if you don't have vigorous system to get people to that website. So don't redo your website if you don't have, how am I going to get people to this website? And if you already have a flow of customers, that's different. Like if you have a lot of referrals, or you have, like, you know, even people that do door knocking, or people that do have something else that gets people to look at their website, that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, if you think a website is going to save you, it's probably not. You need to either, like, I'll name some, but Google ads or Facebook ads or SEO or.
So let's talk about SEO, because I know a lot of people that I've spoken with, they need leads like now, but the conversation they're having and the discussions they're having are about SEO, right? Because they've spoken with a marketing company where obviously SEO is it's a great business because it's ongoing work for that company. So what is SEO?
SEO is
describe SEO to somebody who does not understand marketing at all.
Yeah. So if you're using Google, there's a lot of different ways to show up on Google. There's the ads right at the top with the little sponsored thing on them. Okay. There's the Google local service ads if you're a small local service business that show up at the very top with little Google guaranteed, and they have your rating and stuff like that. There's the map, and there's the listing underneath the map. And sometimes there's no map.
That's Google My Business, right?
Yeah, Google My Business. And then you've got the main listing with all the different things. And a lot of times there's less of that if you're asking like a question. There's just the main listing or something like that, which the main listing, it's the little blue text with the text underneath it. You can click it. The more places that you're showing up, the more questions and things that people are searching that you're showing up for, and that is SEO. And the map is SEO as well.
Google Ads and Google Local Services, those are pay to play, right?
Yep.
The Google My Business and the organic listings, you have to pay, but you're paying with the amount of time you have to put in from a consistency standpoint, right?
Exactly.
It takes a little bit more time.
Yeah, super. Yeah. SEO, the biggest component of it is you got to get links and content. Links from other websites back to yours, and content on your website in the form of, I like location landing pages. So for all the suburbs that you serve, I would have a page for each one of those with your services. I like blogging. I like blogging partly because it's a great opportunity to get links. If you're answering questions, you could do here's one for your company. You can do pest control statistics, and that would get links naturally on your blog. Statistic posts do really well. Like writer resources do very well to get links. Like we have one that's like, what length should a blog post be for every year, right? Like, and that one gets links because a lot of people want to cite us.
They're referencing your article.
So those are, and topical authority. The more, if you have every single blog post, this is They Ask You Answer. I did this before They Ask You Answer, Marcus Sheridan, but that's a really good book. You would love it.
They Ask You.
You will really love this book. I already know it's going to be his like favorite book of 2024. It's good. You're going to love that.
It's crazy because I just met you, and I'm pretty sure that you're right about what you just said, just based on what I think the book is right now.
Yeah.
So.
They Ask You Answer. It really explains it really well, right? Like it's all these questions. So you got all the questions that people are asking about your thing. And then with They Ask You Answer, it's also every question that gets, this is going to be my favorite takeaway. It's totally going directly from Marcus Sheridan. The most common questions in the sales process. So you put those in a spreadsheet.
The FAQs almost.
Yep. And then you do a video and you do a blog post about each one of those. And objections. And doing that is it's like sales enablement content marketing, not just, because now you can text that prospect that has that question in the video.
We're literally building that out.
Oh,
right now.
that's sweet.
So,
this will just support, like that book will just kind of like give you some more ideas, but it's cool. And the last bit on this, so Marcus Sheridan talks about the biggest one's always price, right?
Yep.
And we have price objections, like as a homeowner, right? Like, and that's the most important one to talk about in marketing. And most people never touch on it at all.
Okay. So how does a home service company touch
on price? The question that we need to answer is, why are you more expensive? Like specifically, why are you more expensive?
I understand my business is.
I want you to tell me. Let's do this.
Okay.
Yeah, right now. Why are you more expensive?
Why are we more expensive? So at Abracadabra, we believe in creating opportunities for the people that work at Abracadabra, and we believe that by working at Abracadabra, we should be enriching their lives.
That's good. I love. What about for the customer? What did they experience differently?
I was getting there. So from an educational standpoint, we invest into our technicians so that when you have somebody coming out to your home, you know that they're highly trained ongoingly, not just once. And it's in a diverse array of things, so they bring an extreme amount of value.
Yeah.
But more importantly, because of how we treat our employees, you get somebody coming to your home in a very intimate interaction when we're in every room in your home, and they're happy. And being happy at work from a home service standpoint isn't something that we see all the time, especially in pest control. So why we're more important is because we want you to have the highest quality service possible, and we believe that happens when the person doing the work enjoys what they're doing and who they're doing it for.
I love the piece about training too, and those things. Like as a homeowner, I don't just want my problem solved personally. Like, and I don't know, like we're not like high end, but we're like, like probably like mid premium customer, whatever.
Target market.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that because I don't just want somebody to solve my problem. I want somebody to solve my problem and make my day not worse.
Yeah.
Like maybe not better every time, but not worse, and not stressed out and not running around like I'm like,
correct. And they actually care about you. Right? And I could riff on that one for forever, because as a homeowner or not, as a business owner, that's like the passion that I have is like, it starts with my people, right? And that's that's where my response began. But overall, it's more people that I have. That is who delivers our company to our consumer. Yeah. So by starting with that, all the interactions that the consumer has with us, I can trust that they're going to end in a positive way because my team like wants to end it that way.
And like customer service sounds like it's really actually part of your service, not just solving the problem, but customer service.
I mean, we're not like roofing, dude, or HVAC, where somebody comes in, they do a little bit of work, they're peace out, not going to see you for a while. We're like, we're going to see you in 2 to 3 months. If you have any issues, you just hit me back up. We'll be back out to take care of it. So we developed this incredibly deep relationship with our consumers and really start to understand who they are more than just like 2.5 kids and live in this area and stay at home mom. Like those are facts about them, but there's more to them as human beings. So
love that.
We just we care about our communities.
And there's a bunch of other questions around why are you more expensive that like we generally avoid in marketing, but we touch on in sales. And so to bring more of that stuff from sales into market, why is it? I think partly the reason I don't sometimes is like I'm scared of my competitors looking at it and trying to match me on
the secret sauce.
Yeah, trust me, they're not, because they don't want to charge enough to have customer service in the first place or whatever. But like it is risky. And it's like comparing things, like comparing this to a different type of service that's like lower end, but it's not really solving their full issue. Like comparing that's partly why it's more expensive. But like comparisons, this versus that, why are you more expensive? And a bunch of other sub questions around why are you more expensive? And those kind of questions work really well in marketing and work well in the sales process. So you can send that video
and it pulls the sales forward to the marketing part of the lead flow. Well, it creates velocity for a business though, because when those questions can be answered prior to my customer service rep having to it's a freaking genius.
Can I tell you one major benefit from doing this 1.5 years, this they ask you answer thing, is people tell me, and I mean, like, you'll have fun with it. Maybe you could do this as a live series too. Like, I like lives. And then I put the lives over to YouTube afterwards, but because then
you're repurposing that.
Exactly. And people live is good in the algorithm. It's kind of an arbitrage. One major benefit is people disqualify themselves for me and tell me about it. And honestly, I get a little sad when I hear it, but they're like, I'm at 2, but I'm going to be at 3. Like we talk about, like we say under 2 million, you're not a great fit for us. And that's not going to be
leads. Like getting a lead, that's step one. And people kind of stop and they're thinking about their lead flow right there. The next step is this a qualified?
Yeah. And once you're a mature business,
so you're getting to that step, which is super powerful.
You are, right? Like, and not every small business is, but you just got to make tons of leads happen as much as you possibly can. You got to be out there. You got to not worry about this. Maybe in some cases.
You can't completely delegate that to company. Like you still have to be involved as a business owner.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Absolutely. And people say that to us now. And it's sad to me, but I also recognize that it's not burning out my salespeople. It's not. It's our positioning in the market is such that everyone knows what qualified lead looks like to us, or a lot of people do in our market, in our specialization. So when we get referrals, they're much more likely to fit within that bucket because we don't just save it for sales. We say it in marketing. So all of the people I said I was marketing for referrals. All those people now know what a good lead looks like to us. So it's like B&I, but for the entire internet. I'm kind of like asking the entire internet to refer me.
Well, and then you're like educating your marketing team, right? Like you're giving them this, not only them, but anyone who's a potential consumer, the things that maybe wouldn't come up in the sales process, but because they're thinking at a deeper level about your business and the decision, now they're answering these questions, and what it does for you, in my mind, is it builds extreme value. Like it's back to that word, the value. I think that in marketing, when that's the focus, and correct me if I'm wrong here, when value is the focus, the transactions become easier, right? Like it. And maybe that's because the focus is different or whatever, but I believe it's because the consumer actually gives a shit about what you're saying, and now you have their attention, and that's what we compete for. Is the attention.
Absolutely, that is the scariest part about today's day and age, right? Like, I didn't read the whole book, but there's a book called like The Attention Economy or something like that, and it's like basically it's almost like currency these days is attention, and that's why people like get really excited when they go viral or whatever, because they're like,
because everyone was looking at them.
Yeah, it was really cool, and it feels really good to them because for a second it was important, right? And like, is it going to grow your business? I don't know. Like it does. Like people love going like the viral thing. Like that's like a big topic these days, and It's because attention is so scarce. And we all know it as a small business owner because half the time we post and there's 1 like or 5 likes or whatever, it hurts. So we know attention is scarce and it's hard. What can we do to not fight it, but to like play the game? And what can we do to be more attention worthy? That's what I'm trying to learn. I want to learn what I need to do. I thought it and I talked smack about all those guys that go viral and they don't matter.
So what are the things you've learned that have helped you as a business owner, just generally?
We were talking a little bit about gifting and stuff like that. One thing is I want to get on everyone else's feed on social media in my niche, in my market. So I do gifting as a way, and I actually ask people to post about it. So we do, and maybe 2 or 3 times a year, we send something pretty good to our referral partners, like, or at least weird and interesting. Like we sent funny
makes them stop and think.
Yeah, we did like our own cologne. It said smells like more leads.
That was actually that was at RoofCon or something.
Yeah, we also sent it out to all the influencers in our industry, and we asked them. We said, call for models. We're looking for people that will model this. Whatever, it's silly.
Well, you like took it to like this next level of like seriousness. It's not just like, oh, it's Christmas, sent you some shit. It's like, no, Tim thought about this and him and his team sent it to me.
And it usually relates to our theme. So we usually do 2 or 3 themes a year. So in that particular, it was a loose association, but we did like a chemistry theme, and our commercial at that time, we usually have about 2 commercials a year that we do, just so people don't get sick of it. We remarket a lot. I love remarketing. Whenever anyone goes to your website, they are then seeing your ad all around the internet. And in this case, it was chemistry. So our main sales person, she was doing a big beakers, a bunch of colors, and she was mixing them. She's like, you should have 5 lead generation systems. I think 1 could be door knocking, 1 could be referral systems, 1 could be Google and SEO with hook agents, so we were saying and then it blew up or whatever. And then we did let off a smoke bomb in my office for that. So, but then in conjunction with that, we did like a chemistry kind of note, and then like with this cologne, it's supposed to be like kind of, and then she gets, smells like more leads or whatever. Right. And then this cologne was out there. So we usually mix it up. Like the gift relates to the theme.
So you branded the cologne.
Yeah. And we've done like hot sauce, and we did like a flamethrower at the camera. So then like everything related to fire and heat.
Who comes up with this shit? You?
Tim Brown. He's a weird guy. And so we're always kind of coming up with what's that next theme? 1 theme per like half a year. And then we do the gifting related. And I want to get onto other people's feeds because my feed is only so powerful. Like being on my stuff is not, it's fine. Like, but how could you get onto more feeds?
Well, that's leverage there.
Yeah.
Or arbitrage pretty much. As soon as you get onto somebody else's feed, now you arbitrage all of their followers or people that like them.
You can make them feel cool. Like they're one of a special group that gets this.
Yeah, like the person that sent you this whatever idea. Or
if somebody sends me something good, I am like something good. Like let's say over $50, $100. If somebody sends me something over $100, I'm gonna do something. And like especially if they ask. And I mean, the asking is a little like almost a little rude, but I mean, like I'm trying, but like $100 plus, like I'm gonna do it. So that's why I push on like referral partner type things, because whoever's trying to also get the attention of your ideal customer, because those people probably have a feed or like they're probably friends with a bunch of people that are like who you're trying to talk to. So that's why I think in referrals a lot.
So we do a lot of social media, organically, remarketing, all that. I've never actually thought about it from getting to the customer through another company's relationship with them. I feel like
you've got the perfect setup for this podcast because you can get people in
use it. Like it probably happens, but it's like we don't have a strategy to be like, I want to get on North Face.
Do you have a jingle?
I mean, there's like the Steve Miller band, Abra. That's not.
Do you put it on?
Can't. It costs like a lot of money.
Okay. Oh yeah. I just like the reason I'm asking is like you could also do short form videos from this. If you had home service businesses on, give them to them, but then end with your brand, because that's what we do a lot of times. And on Instagram right now, you can do those collaboration posts.
Yeah, I guess that's what my team's doing. Shout out to Rosalie.
Good job, everyone. Yeah. And I think I love that collaboration post.
Yeah.
If you invite somebody to be collaborative, if it is a local business.
Well, I think collaboration, dude, like it's this X factor in business. And you were kind of talking about that like on social media, like when you get on someone's feed, they're collaborating to help you grow your business. But like I've seen collaboration in so many different levels. I've been part of a nonprofit, or excuse me, a co-op brewery that started up, and like one of our core values was collaboration and community. And through that experience and some of the other business experiences I've had, I've seen like the never-ending question mark that can come out of two people coming together and having an interaction and kind of jamming on something. You know, like you never actually know what could happen from that interaction. Like we've never met today, and I'm sure there's going to be some cool shit that comes from this.
Sure.
But
100%. And underneath all these weird little tactics that I've shared with people today, the core of it, it's community and relationships. Just like what you're saying. Like, and this is just all stuff to maybe mess with and try out for fun. But if there's not at the core of it, like good relationships and good community, you're just scaling trash.
So if like none of the tactics are the silver bullet or the one thing that's going to get you all the leads.
Because it'll be totally different in 5 years, right?
Yeah. Or in 5 months. Like,
it changes quick. Like that stupid little messenger thing that I just shared, it does work really well. Do it now.
Do that.
But in 5 minutes, it's probably gone. Because anything that you can arbitrage, they often take away.
Yeah. They're like, oh, hold the phone. That's worth more money. And now we have to charge for that.
Yeah, exactly.
So like as a marketing company, do you help the businesses you work with collaborate with the other businesses in their community? Is that a focus that you have at all?
I think we try to do that from the education side, because that's what I push a lot for our clients. Like as far as like in our content, we're talking about that so often. I don't sell courses or anything like that, or like I just but maybe I should, just because when somebody pays for something, they seem to be more likely to take the advice.
There's more value. They got skin in the game.
Yeah, exactly. You're committing, right? Exactly. So, but we just recommend it. We recommend it. I do think that you have a unique opportunity with this podcast to do more of that. And I think it's also, you're growing each other's business. You're learning about each other, because I can refer to you now, kind of knowing a little bit more of your vibe. It's so much more like, it's easier to refer when you know somebody personally.
And it's easier to know somebody personally when you see them on a bunch of different videos. And you slowly learn over time who Tim Brown is. Like,
exactly.
I've never met you before today, and I've already, I've seen you a gajillion times. Right?
Yeah.
So
I post too much.
No, I don't think there is too much.
Do not follow me at facebook.com/invigorated. Because I post way too much.
So, because I know you got to get going. Is there anything that you want to kind of leave for anyone listening here? Any additional value you want to bring?
Yeah, just, check our stuff out, Hook Agency, and let's
what are the name of your podcast again?
Podcast that I would love for you guys to check out is HVAC and Plumbing Hustle. It is lots of small businesses, like home service businesses, that are sharing their best tips on how to grow. And it is, in its infancy. We're in like the 15 episodes range. And then I do have an old one, a long-standing one called Hook Better Leads, which is a little bit more for roofers. So that's why it's just it's so niche. I don't know if everyone here is going to want to watch it or check it out. But I've been 250 episodes. That's a lot of episodes.
That is a lot of episodes. I mean, we're going to have 100 roofers watch this, and everyone, you're going to just blow up even more.
Let's go. No. My last thing is, I did want to mention, for me, the biggest thing, rather than trying to get customers from this, I believe in EOS and traction, and it's had a massive impact on our business. If there's anyone, it'd just be good to go read the book Traction if you're a small business owner.
Well, and so we actually have a traction implementer coming in, I think in 3 or 4 episodes here. So I'm super excited about that. Is there any question that you think I should ask him to bring an extreme amount of value to anyone listening? And you can get back to me on that too.
No, I just think it's probably around like how to structure your L10s for the maximum success. Because that was a big one that our implementer helped us with, is getting a real actual agenda for your meetings, in particular like your L10 meeting with your leadership team. And if it's just, your very infant business, like with your key people, like having an L10 every week and making sure that you diligently do that, because then you can there's like a problem solving track in that where you can you shouldn't have to always be putting out fires in your business. Correct. You should go on your IDS problem solving track meeting. And you should
discuss.
Exactly. And if you don't have that in place, it's just business is messy no matter what. It's all messy. Yeah. Everyone's struggling. Don't believe the highlight reel, all that stuff.
The real side of business is the person that you think is doing way better than you might not be.
Yeah. Oh, actually,
But everyone always just looks like it's so much better over there. But like, business sucks a lot of times. It's hard. Yeah. Like, being a business owner is not an easy thing. Yeah. And I mean, that's a lot of the reason that we're doing this podcast, is to highlight the stories behind the people that are helping our communities exist and like be there.
Elon Musk says entrepreneurship is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. And like, I just want to remind everyone out there, like, we're all doing that. And it's, you got the team on your back. Like, it is pain. It's like just the stress of it. Like, it's not that our job is that hard. I just want, if it's that you just got this responsibility that weighs on you from the time you wake up, from the time you go to sleep. And it is tough. So respect to every small business owner out there, whether it's your first year in business or whether you've been in business for 40 years, because I know it's not. And you can't share the problems either, dude. Yeah. You can't really share all of it, because you're kind of marketing too all the time. Like, we need people to want to work with our company. I can't tell them that I lost 2 guys this last month or whatever. It's tough.
But that vulnerability, I think, creates a lot, like, people gravitate towards that as well.
You're right. It's tough because sometimes you can't share it.
I mean, I'm incredibly personal. Yeah. We're already going over. I forgot I had one other question I wanted to ask you. But I'm going to skip past the story I just had. So if you had to describe what the word hustle meant to you as it applied to business, how would you define hustle?
Hustle is like full court press. There's in basketball, if you were down at the end of the court, a lot of teams will just let them pass it back in and then take the ball from there.
Let them go halfway.
And then push. But it is actually a major advantage if you full court press, where you stay down there and act like it matters that first half of the court. And so it's unnecessary technically by the rules of the game, but a small business owner who needs it and wants to grow and is acting to get their next breath, they have to grow.
I love that.
Then they will full court press.
You're going as far forward to meet the adversary as you can.
And I'm not saying that's a competitor. I'm saying that's you last year. That's to beat yourself. I don't think it's just a game of one team versus one team. Your next best competitor for pest control in this area, no offense, but it's probably not even on your radar. I mean, I know you think about it every once in a while, but you know what I'm saying? You are not letting them define the standard of what service looks like in your area. But we take every conceivable ethical advantage and we'll do extra things above and beyond. And I'm not telling everyone to work every Sunday or whatever, but I'm saying in the days you do work and the times you do work, that you're trying to take every conceivable ethical advantage. That's what hustle means to me.
It's a beautiful definition. I think we'll just end it with that. Tim, dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, man. You dropped some fireballs on this one.
Dude,
so
thank you. I'm stoked for you and this podcast. This is going to be beautiful in your business.
Yeah, Josh keeps big leaguing me though. You got to see if he wants to make it over to Forest Lake.
Oh, come on, Josh. What are you doing, bro? Josh.
I think he was probably waiting for you to go on so that when he comes on, then it's a bigger deal.
Oh, Josh, you better get on every podcast you can, brother. What's going on?
That
Where's
he's
the
a
hustle?
grinder, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, thanks again, bro. I really appreciate you. Have a good rest of your day, man.
Thank you.